Hey, it's Andrew Yon from SGX Spartan Group Training, along with BK Athletics. We are going to go over a few things from your workout today. The first thing we have is a bridge isometric. A bridge isometric, I'm going to sit with my feet planted. I'm going to make sure my feet are nice and flat on there. I'm not going to be on my toes or on my heels, but nice and flat. All I'm going to do is tighten the midline, and I'm going to drive up into a bridge. I'm going to hold this for 10 seconds. Pretend that was 10 seconds, I'll come right down, and I'll drive right back up for another 10. To make this harder, what I could do is add in a one leg. So I'm going to straighten one leg, everything is going to be exactly the same, but now I'm going to drive off of this leg. We can do one of two things. We can hold this as an isometric, and come down and switch, or I could slowly control down to the floor and do this for reps. To make this even harder, I'll go ahead and put my foot on a bench. You can do two legs on the bench, or I can get set with one leg on the bench for a hip thrust. Easier if I put my hands onto the ground. Hands up or off the ground is going to be a little bit harder for the midline to control. We also have an FLR. An FLR is a forward-leaning raise. All that is holding a push-up position with a really good rigid midline and spinal position. So I'm going to squeeze my butt, lock my shoulders into place. My thumbs are slightly going to be turned outward. I'm not going to be in here like this, and I'm not going to be completely out. Just shoulder set, and remember that the spine, the head, is also part of that spine there, the head and neck. So I'm going to hold there. When we look at what is next, mobility versus flexibility. Flexibility means this is your full range of motion. Mobility is how well you're actually able to move within that range of motion. So let's take hamstrings, for example. My flexibility for a flexion in my back and my hamstrings allows me to go through here. But my mobility for the hamstrings and the low back may be a little bit different. So when I have to go through a workout, I'm going to go through a dynamic mobility and not just flexibility. So the mobility is I'm going to go through a range of motion. I'm going to see how the squat is, go through some of these kinds of movements. I'm also going to do a little bit of hip hinging to feel how my tension in the hamstring is and being able to keep a flat back through that range of motion. Even though technically I have better flexibility, I still want to ingrain really good positioning and mobility throughout my movements. So there's going to be a link for dynamic movements. Pick one or two or three, whatever you need for the beginning there, or before your workout. What's next? Loaded push-ups. For our sake, push-ups are going to mean loaded means you're going to weight them up, put weight on it. If you have a partner who nicely puts a weight on your back, you can do that. If you don't have that, you can use a band. You just take a band, you put your hands inside the band, put the band behind your back, and now I can do push-up, chest to deck always, and press right out of it. This adds resistance and makes it harder. Again, I could have a friend put a plate on my back if I want. And then finally, there is a farmer's carry. Farmer's carry just basically means you're going to pick up something heavy and you're going to walk for however long it tells you to do it. Right? So here it's like I could use one kettlebell. This is a 70-pound kettlebell. I can walk with it. I can grab two kettlebells. I grab two kettlebells that are a different weight and then alternate between which side I'm holding for whatever the walk is. If you don't have either of those, you can grab a bucket or take some rocks, or grab something that's relatively heavy and just walk with it. Those are your movements for today. Have fun.